Oh no, he's calling them back. Wow. So on top of... Yeah, now you're about to see the true potential, I suppose. Ooh. Yeah, you know, that type of thing, it always excites Gon, doesn't it? The challenge, the danger. It makes him uneasy, but the good type of uneasy. Oh. Oh. Since he's had this kind of challenge, right? Oh, he's about to spike it. Okay. All three are playing a part at the same time. Look at that Killua in the middle, though. Did they pull it off? They pulled it off. I love his reaction. The foundation. Smack bang in the middle. Wow. Wow. Imagine if it didn't. Huh. Ooh. A sign of things to come, perhaps. But can you? This next strike is about to be all out, right? Let's see. Wow. Kill. Hang in there, man. Hang in there, Kill. But how about the aftermath of it? His hands. The healing process. Oh, quick glimpse. Oh. Oh, yeah. I felt that too there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow, the animation. Oh, look at this. Oh my god. Yeah. Stubborn like that. He's stubborn. Oh no. Oh yeah. They took it out of him. I think it's better. It's better like this, you know? Yes, go on, Hisoka. Okay then. Come on, dig deep. This is insane. Bungee gum, right? Oh my god, do they have them? That's so authentic. Look at the shoes. They gave him a good challenge.
結局美味しいとこは全部持っていかれたな。
みんなの力があったからだよ。チームの勝利ってやつさ。
Look at this.
なんかそのセリフ
Yeah.
似合わないよ。
ジンについて
Whoa.
質問に答えよ
Bit of insight. Think he's earned it. Oh,
無茶して。
yeah.
ぐっちゃぐちゃだわさ、両手とも。
How long is that going to take, right?
結論から言うと、ジンはここにはいない。
Yeah, I think all of us expected that, right? I think Gon expected that as well.
そう。
I mean, he told him as much
だとは思ってたけど。
at the beginning, right?
ただ、昔話で
Yes.
少し話す。
Yes, go on.
ぜひ。
実は俺も死刑囚だ。
Oh.
人も殺めている。
Oh.
捕まって無所に入り、刑が確定し、ジンに雇われてここに来た。世界中にたった一人だけでも自分を信じてくれる人間がいれば救われるとジンが教えてくれた。
Second chances, eh, Jing?
俺の息子がいつかここへ来る。したら遠慮しねえでぶっ飛ばせよ。
じゃあ殺してもいいってことだよ。
なめんなよ。俺のガキだぜ。
That's right.
それじゃ頼んだぜ。
Look at this. Look at that.
お前の親父はイカれてると思ったぜ。
He's the only one who truly saw him, right?
自分の作るゲームの話を何時間もガキみてえに夢中で話したかと思えば。クイズが誰のおかげで生かしてもらってると思ってるんだ。おい、お前。そうかな。
Yep. It's a similar story, isn't it?
レイさん。
Look at that. Yeah. That meant quite a bit to him, didn't it?
生まれて初めて自分の
Right,
名
yeah.
前を呼んでもらえた気が
Yeah,
した
yeah,
よ
it felt like that. You know, someone
ジンがお
who
前の
truly
力
saw
を
him.
信じ、俺にお前を任せてくれたように、俺もお前の力を
Wow.
信じた。だから全力で打った。
うん。みんながいなかったら全然叶わなかったもん。
いいチームワークだったな。ジンに会えよ。
Man, I love Razor. It's such a fantastic character. Oh,
寮から戻ってくる船。
beautiful stuff though, eh? Look at this.
私にとってはこの景色が
Hmm.
何よりの宝。
There it is.
よし、一坪の海岸線ゲット。密かは本当に何もいらないの？
ああ、楽しかったからね。
俺たちと一緒に行動しない。
Look at Kill, even he's happy about
旅団
this.
の動向も気になるし。
Right, that too.
僕はカード
Or
集め
mainly
に
that.
興味がないからね。また何かあったらコンタクトで教えてくれよ。
Hey.
アカンパニーかマグネティックフォースで飛んでくるから。
Yeah.
あの嘘つき野郎。
嘘つきには意味のある嘘しかつかないタイプと意味のない嘘をもつくタイプの2通りいるの。あんたと私は前者、あいつは後者。深く考えると泥沼にはまる。
You sure about that, Biscay?
久しぶりだな。誰かわかるか。
Yeah.
する。
Ken through.
何の用だ。
まずはおめでとう。
Yeah, he's been keeping tabs, eh?
ことだ。
アスタ、アマナ、バンヘイム、ニックーキュー、スーヘイル、カズ
Suhail.
お前らの15人
Ah, okay. Goddamn.
そうだろう。
これは死亡したか。ゲーム内にいないな。
How's Gon going to react to this? That's how. Yeah. Oh.
誰だお前。
コンフリックスだ。
Hold on. Calm down.
ゴールか。セズゲラの次はお前らだ。それとも今すぐカードを渡しに来るか。
Grab him. Someone grab him.
相手になってやる。俺だったら。
Jesus.
あっちでやってくれ。
Reckless, man. He's reckless.
フィンクスだ。見つけたぜ。これからお前のところへ行く。
一坪の海岸線も分け前としてもらってるだろうし。
持ってたとしてもそれはクローンの方だ。
Interesting.
そうだな。
So they don't know who exactly has the original
なんせシングルの称号を持つプロ。
single star
能力も
hunter.
謎だしな。
ゲンスルーは君たちの実力を知らない。故に
一坪の海岸線のオリジナルを持
Right.
っているの。
Right. Okay, so good.
俺たち
They
の
have
もの
that
だ
on
と
their
思って
side, right?
俺たちができる限り時間を稼ぐ。その間に体を治せ。このゲームに勝つ気なら、奴らとの戦いはもう避け
I
られ
don't
ない。
know about that, man. Look at that.
だがゴン、お前のさっきの行動は自分勝手で最も愚かなものだ。もしも奴らがお前の挑発に乗りここへ来ていたら、負傷しているキルアはどう？
Right. Yeah.
一時の感情で自分のみならず、
And your
仲
party.
間の命まで危険にさらしたんだぞ。
Hmm.
ごめんなさい。
This is a concern. You know, it's not something he's going to be able to eliminate from his personality overnight.
もしそれが成功
Right.
したら
Number 75.
ナンバー75、キウン・アレクサンドライトをくれないか。
It's a tricky one to acquire yourself, isn't it?
手段を選ばなければ持久戦に持ち込む自信はある。
It's. I think now is
でも
Tezagira's
ナン
time
バー
to
75
shine.
ならカードと交換で取り方を教えてもいいぜ。
ただ、ゴレイヌを含めて我々
Gorenu.
バインダーに空きがほとんどない。
Yeah.
手持ちカードをすべて村人に
Yeah.
渡すという
Yeah, they did it really early on, in the beginning stages, right? So it was practical at that
3
point.
週間。
レイザーとの対決に勝利したゴン。
So that's the conclusion, eh, of
コアの
that.
戦闘力はゴンたちの上を行く。果たして策は生まれるのか。
I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, yeah, look at that. It's set up nicely for the grand finale of the arc. From the looks of it, it certainly feels like it's the end game now. The final boss being Genthru, the bomber, and his boys. Now, again, that's not something new. They set that up really early on, actually. The idea of the bomber, this figure that you kind of essentially have to come up against at some point, right? Someone you have to go through, someone you have to beat if you are to clear the game. Given how successful the bomber and his crew have been, right, in the game itself. So yeah, perhaps there is a chance here to maybe develop that character right in the final stages even. So yeah, it certainly feels like I'm about to see Gon come up against Genthru really soon. And then of course, beyond that, there's a lot of planning that has to go into this. Of course, Killua is kind of sidetracked at the moment, kind of benched at the moment, but benched in the sense that, he's not physically able to really do much. I mean, I'm sure he can still do quite a bit, but he needs a bit of time. So, he's going to be on the sidelines formulating, a plan, something really quite tricky to get one over, the bomber, Genthru, that squad as a whole. And then, of course, Gon is going to train a bit more, because there is still enough time, perhaps a decent amount of time to maybe pick up on a few more things. So yeah, I'm sure there's still a few more interesting moments ahead of me in the final phase of this arc. But I do feel that perhaps there is a strong possibility here that it peaked. This arc already might have peaked, and I essentially got the conclusion to that peak. And I'm speaking of the greatest dodgeball game ever played. Right? And then of course, everything it kind of facilitated. And I spoke of this in the last episode as well. Everything that's being staged here is being staged during a game of dodgeball, right? It brought out so much. Even here in its conclusion, it brought out some really, really fascinating backstory as well. One of the things I really enjoyed about this is that it truly does feel like something quite important, right? Something quite significant. Right. I can totally see some of these guys that are accompanying Tezagira and even Tezagira himself, talking about this moment, down the line. Of course, I'm speaking of like off-screen stuff you just kind of, imagine. It truly kind of felt like one of those things that they might talk about at the bar, over a drink, over a meal, anytime they kind of come across someone else, a friend even, right? This is that day they might talk about, that night. They might talk about the things that they experienced and the incredible things they saw on that night. And that includes Gon, right? That's, it's a special sight. It is for many of them to experience that, to be a part of that, right? It truly felt like, okay, this is something, or this is someone that is one of a kind. Yet there is another that is one of a kind. And of course, in that sense, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? Cut from the same cloth and all of that. And of course, I am speaking of Jing. And, this idea of Razor probably seeing quite a bit of Jing already in Gon, You know, I think I spoke of this or I made this comment maybe in the last episode or the episode before that. I think it might have been the last episode. Yeah, that certainly is the case, isn't it? Hell, you know, there's a moment in this episode. Razor truly, you know, he truly got to see, yes, okay, yeah, indeed, this is Jing's son. He called him a monster. Now, you know, of course, you can kind of look at it from a few different angles, right? You know, it could be Razor kind of looking at the monstrous potential that he is seeing on display here, right? This outlier, this anomaly, monstrous in that sense. You know, maybe there's a hint of, okay, you know, the darkness beneath all of this. Maybe he's seeing that in Gon. And, you know, I got a really significant, really important, you know, bit of insight on Razor as well, right? And, you know, I spoke of this a little bit earlier, the backstory. So, you know, Razor has a really specific background as well. So he has a different perspective on things as well, right? Listen, he's a changed man, completely changed man, because you see just in his demeanor, his disposition, I don't know, just his attitude, that he's not quite that Razor that I got a glimpse of in that quick, you know, flashback, right? He's not, Razor isn't quite rough on the edges anymore, is he? But you know, that part, you know, it's not something that disappears all of a sudden. That is a part of him. That's always going to be a part of him. You know, everything he's gone through, everything he's experienced, in that abusive upbringing. Yeah, you know, it's always going to be a part of him. Yet, you know, he was able to kind of find a different path, right? He was given the chance at a different path, and Jing is the one who embraced him. Right? Jing is the one who saw him, truly saw him. You see that no one gave him that respect before. No one saw him like that before. As a human, something as simple as that, right? How sad is that? And you know, once again, it kind of goes into the, you know, the upbringing of some of these characters, right? The backgrounds. You know, a lot of them, you know, once again, you know, here you have yet another person who comes from poverty. You know, here's yet another person who had a tough upbringing. Poverty can be just soul crushing, right? Hope and dream crushing. And, you know, you can apply that to many of these characters that I've come across, you know, much more recently, just in this arc, Benolt, right? There's actually, you know, some similarity there even in how Gon kind of treated him in comparison to how Jing treated Razor. Right? I mean, there's some slight differences, of course. You know, let's not get that mixed up too much. But there's some similarities as well. But yeah, disillusionment, disempowerment, social inequality, and exclusion. All of these things, they have quite the impact on people. And I've seen how it affected Benolt and the path he ends up taking. And, you know, and then, of course, if you go further back, I know, you know, the members of the Phantom Troop, many of them, most of them, the majority of them come from Meteor City, you know, really similar backgrounds. Hell, I think that was Meteor City once again, wasn't it? You know, as I see a young Razor getting, you know, abused. Hell, you know, at one point the guy said that, you know, to be considered less than human, you know, just a piece of trash that can be discarded. At a moment's notice. That's just incredibly sad. Jing was the one person, right? The first person even to actually just, you know, acknowledge him as a fellow human, right? Something as simple as that meant so much, right? Now, you know, I'm saying something as simple as that, but even something like that is something that, you know, a lot of these characters are robbed of. You know, given their, you know, upbringing and given their, you know, situations, you know, the really alienating experiences that they've had. And then, of course, for many of them, their future is shaped. Their path is shaped because of these experiences. But Jing is the one who made the effort, right? You know, there's a line of dialogue there. It's really quite impactful, isn't it? I think he said Jing taught him that it only takes one person, but Jing made the effort. Right? You see that he's clearly not judgmental at all, like at all, right? He just doesn't think, he doesn't think like that. And of course you see that a lot of that is passed on to Gon as well. You see, the thing is, you know, I think I mentioned in the last episode's discussion that I don't believe for a second that anything or any of this could ever be surprising to Jing. I felt that of course he'll be I don't know, happy, or he'll understand any potential stories he might hear about Gon and his adventures, or him passing by, him going through Greed Island. If something like that was to take place, if Razor was to speak to Jing, but it doesn't sound like they're really in contact, other than the fact that he confirms that okay, he's not here. And the crazy thing is, this is just one of Jing's friends. How about the rest, the ones that had a hand in making Greed Island, right? Some of the other developers. That'd be, I'd love to see even one more if possible, right? But yeah, going back to my initial point, yeah, even in that flashback, you see that he's so sure, he is supremely confident that no, Gon is going to be able to handle the challenge. And then of course, you do kind of have to ask the question: is it just as simple as him just having that absolute belief that his son, his offspring, is just going to have that, that tenacity, that fighting spirit in them, or is there something else to it? It kind of reminds me almost of, or not reminds me of it, but kind of makes me think about, Shinji and his father, going all the way back to the first episode of Eva. That Gendo is really supremely confident that if Shinji gets in that Eva unit, it'll work, right? It'll be fine. But yeah, let's put a pin in that for now, and let's see if the anime comes back to it at some point. Jing and his absolute belief. Hell, at this point, you see that he's actually really quite proud in that moment as well. He's so sure that, yeah, his son is going to be formidable. He is going to be up for the challenge. He truly felt, I don't know, a sense of pride in that moment. Or at least to me, it felt like he's taking pride in his son. But then also, speaking of sons and, father figures and all of that, or maybe even an older brother type figure, you see that, Razor truly looks at Jing in that capacity, right? That this is someone who gave me a second shot, a second chance, right? I mean, Jing certainly appears to be all about second chances, and he's capable of overlooking quite a bit. I mean, Jing certainly appears to be someone who believes that more often than not, most people are redeemable. I mean, you see that Jing was able to see the goodness in Razor's heart. Now, listen, folks, before I go any further, that, like I said earlier, Jing is one of a kind. Not too many other people could look at it in that capacity. Given the things that Razor has done. I mean, he was a death row inmate, right? He's a murderer, right? And just kind of learning about that, it really caught me off guard as well, because I didn't see from day one, since the first appearance, I just didn't have that, even the idea of that in my mind. For some reason, maybe that's a bit of an oversight on my end, but I just never thought, okay, his background must be something like this, or could be something like this. I don't know, in my mind, I just thought he's also just someone who is a bit of a special case, kind of like Jing. But again, you go back to Benolt earlier on in this arc, and you see the consequences of that alienating experience, right? One bad day, the breaking point, and it just led him down a totally different path in life, right? And you see he kind of had a breakthrough moment, kind of almost again, facilitated by another freaks. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Gon in this case. But again, it's not quite the exact same thing, is it? Gon didn't know anything about Benolt's past or anything. Gon had other reasons to be quite nice to him, to be respectful even, right? Because again, he helped out Gon quite a bit, and anything else didn't really matter to Gon anymore, right? So that is something unique to Gon as well. But yeah, going back to my point about father figures, or maybe even an older brother in this specific case, of Jing and Razor, to me, one of the most beautiful moments actually of the anime as a whole is that moment Jing puts his hand on his shoulder. It's such a distinct and such a deliberate choice by Jing to do that. And it just meant so much to Razor. And you see that it is really quite a unique and foreign experience for someone like Razor. Even at that age, right? He's a grown-ass man at that point. But still, it meant so much, right? To have that, to have someone who does support him, someone who does kind of, look at him and believes in him. But yeah, in terms of father figures, even if it is temporarily, you see the one-star hunter, right? Tazagera, kind of steps in. He felt the need to step in. He didn't need to step in. A lot of people, they would have just ignored it, right? Maybe they didn't feel any, attachment or any need to, talk to this kid. And by this kid, I mean Gon, of course. But, Tazagera felt that, okay, he needs to kind of step in and keep it real, right? Give him, a bit of a talk. He certainly gave him the talk, right? And yeah, at that point, it certainly felt like, this is a father figure really talking to someone who needs a bit of this, right? Listen, Gon, he's not as disciplined as Killua, right? And of course, Killua did have that father figure, even though it's really quite a unique take on a father figure. He had that in his life, right? And beyond that, he had the grandpa, Grandpa Zeno. He's had older siblings. He's had, a semblance of structure. It's been there. It's not even just a semblance, it is structure. Again, quite a unique structure in comparison to, I don't know, normal, families, I suppose. So of course, Killua does have discipline. He's able to kind of keep his emotions in check for the most part, right? He's really quite locked in. And then of course, you've got Gon, who is not really capable of, keeping his emotions in check. Hell, he's always acting on his emotions. Of course, some of that has to do with the fact that he did not have a father figure growing up. He just didn't. Jing wasn't present. But yeah, going back to Tazagera kind of stepping in that moment and kind of, giving him a bit of a reality check there. You need these types of moments. You need these types of experienced old heads sometimes, stepping in to give a bit of a lesson. And the thing is, almost every single time, he is really quite apologetic. Right, you look at this scene right here, right? He's truly, really quite sorry about this. That he was really quite reckless, impulsive, and because of that, because of those few moments of madness, perhaps he could have brought on a lot of problems for himself, and beyond that, his friends, his party. It's not a party; it's friends, right? So, you see that after kind of listening to Tazagera, he takes it in and he understands, oh shit, yeah, I kind of did it again, because again, it's not the first time and it's not going to be the last time. It's certainly not. It is, it is, like I said, it is a concern, and I can totally see this happening again and again. And the thing is, at some point, it might end up being something really quite significant. Right? It could end up leading to something really, really quite problematic. So yeah, he certainly needed that, and I'm really quite happy that someone like Tazagera stepped in. But yeah, even if you go back to Master Wing, getting really quite annoyed, or not annoyed, just back in the Heavens Arena arc, he really let him have it. That Gon's reckless behavior during that fight really could have cost him in the long term. Right. And there, again, after listening to this, after really kind of understanding the points that are being made here, he is apologetic. And going back to him being called a single star hunter, that's really quite interesting. Are there 2-star hunters, 3-star hunters? How exactly does that stack up against someone like Jing or someone, I don't know, someone else that's really quite accomplished? But yeah, let's kind of shift the focus to the thrilling conclusion to the greatest dodgeball game ever played, and the audacious, the bizarre strategy that's being implemented here, or that is effectively implemented by Gon, by Killua, who ends up being the crucial component of it. I mean, it pivots around Killua, right? And the thing I really enjoyed here and really appreciated is him really getting that focus, especially from someone like Razor. I mean, yes, of course, the strategy as a whole is really quite impressive. And Razor, he truly is impressed. He said, yeah, this truly deserves my praise. But, to have Razor kind of single out and identify Killua, right, as a crucial component of this, yeah, it felt good. it felt good, And of course, Biscuit comes in as well, right? And gives us a bit of insight about Killua's scary potential, and that she couldn't do something like that. She couldn't implement or couldn't execute something like that until much later in her later in her teen years, right? So yeah, Killua sometimes ends up taking a bit of a backseat to Gon, right? Because Gon does end up becoming the focal point, but yeah, it was executed to perfection as a combined effort, right? Really quite impressive and really just quite hype and exciting to look at. Right? And yeah, you really get to see why exactly Hisoka was kind of excited to at least try it out, right? But yeah, Hisoka played a crucial part as well, especially after Gon just blacks out, and ultimately that that came at just the right time, but it didn't matter. Hisoka still made sure to to continue on in Gon's spirit, and of course Hisoka's showing here is just brilliant. Hisoka's just brilliant. My thoughts on Hisoka. It's almost like this tornado that comes in and just does its thing, and then he's gone, right? This chaotic presence, and of course Bungee Gum is absolutely clutch here, right? A key component of this essentially, and yeah, it possesses the properties of both rubber and gum. But also in terms of Gon blacking out, Tezuka noted that he pushed himself to the absolute limit. He exerted every bit or ounce of nen aura, right? He expelled it from his body. And Tezuka felt that that is something he should be proud of, that he was able to really tap into everything. So much so that again, in something that's a bit of a running theme, his body could not keep up, essentially, right? I've seen it before. He'll be reckless. He'll have ideas. He'll try to put things into motion, implement certain things, crazy ideas, but his body is just not capable of it at the time, at least, or rather his body pays the price. But yeah, in terms of Hisoka, he departs, but he gets a call, gets contacted by Finks, and apparently they've found him, right? The Nen Exorcist. But again, the question is, how exactly did they find him? Because the Nen Exorcist, he wasn't trying to be found, right? He was actually doing a pretty solid job of kind of keeping it on the down low. So that's another thing I'm kind of thinking about now. How exactly did they pull this off? I'm sure I'll get to find out soon enough. But yeah, I'm excited that that's still an ongoing thing. I kind of almost forgot about it until Finks made the call, or used contact rather, in game. But yeah, once again, the really fantastic dynamic animation, the score, the direction, all of it played its part in this thrilling conclusion. Really quite engaging and enjoyable. And yeah, at the end of the day, they finally bested Razor. At the end of the day, that is someone like Razor calling Gon a monster, right? Again, in terms of his potential and a few other things, a few other angles as well to that. But yeah, that's kind of insane, isn't it? Someone like Razor, looking at Gon and thinking that. So that's something. That is something. But yeah, it looks like maybe that is the last of Razor for now, at least. But yeah, like I said earlier, I really appreciated and enjoyed that significant bit of insight that I gained through that flashback, and it certainly endorses the idea of redemption, right? Even in unlikely places, even for unlikely people. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or timer-based full length or full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page and potentially supporting the channel. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.